Okay, so good morning everyone. So my name is Danielle Gonzalez and I'm going to be reporting about Egypt. So just a quick introduction. So the official name of Egypt is actually the Arab Republic of Egypt. So it has the largest Arab population, not just in the Middle East, but also all over the world. And the Nile River, the longest river in the world, is located in Egypt, and this basically helped establish them as one of the first major civilizations in the world. And so, even in ancient times, they were actually one of the greatest economies. But then, sadly, nowadays, the tables have turned, and they're not exactly that powerful of a country anymore. The Suez Canal is also located here, which is one of the world's most heavily used shipping lanes. And the Biblioteca Alexandrina, which is the biggest library in the world, is also located in Alexandria, Egypt. It has a copy of all web pages on every website on the internet since it started in 1996. And just a fun fact, since it is International Women's Month, ancient Egyptian women back then had more rights and privileges than most other women in the ancient world. And in fact, they actually had 3 female pharaohs back in the day. So the issue that I think is of most importance in the recent years when it comes to Egypt is the revolution that they had back in 2011. So this happened because they protested against the poverty, unemployment, and government corruption, and the rule of their president back then, Hosni Mubarak. So that led to his ousting, and now Egypt is dealing with brand new problems. Okay, so quick profile. The language they speak in Egypt is Arabic. Their religion, 90% of them is Muslim, and 10% of them practice Christianity. And their form of government is a republic, just like the Philippines. As for their geography, their capital is Cairo, and their total area in terms of land and their coastlines is 1,002,000 square kilometers. And it's in the North African region. So their type of terrain is like vast desert plateau interrupted by Nile Valley and Delta. So this is a map of Egypt. It's composed of 29 governorates. So yeah, it's really big, and it's located at the top part of Africa, and it's just across the Middle East. So some people may think that it's part of Asia, but it's actually part of Africa. So their currency is the Egyptian pound, and actually just recently, like a few months back, we can see that it really devalued in such a short span of time just last year, because that's when their central bank announced that they will have the Egyptian pound as a floating currency. So I'll talk more about that later. So for their statistics and some indicators, the GNI per capita at PPP for Egypt back in 2015 was 10,710, compared to that of the Philippines, which was 8,940. And then their GDP per capita, back in 2015, it was 10,913.43 and 7,837.318 for the Philippines. And then in terms of their per capita growth, Egypt had 2.004 and the Philippines had 4.264. So you can see that the trends are sort of similar actually with Egypt and the Philippines. They're not that far off from each other. And then now for the human development indicators, the HDI of Egypt is 0.69 and it's ranked while that of the Philippines is 0.668, and it's ranked 115. So they're really close to each other, and they're both considered lower middle income countries with medium human development. So yeah, those are the trends. And so moving on to poverty, the poverty headcount ratio at national poverty line. So Egypt has 25.2, and then the Philippines also has 25.233. And then for inequality, using the Gini index, in Egypt it was at 30.75 and 43.04 for the Philippines. For their population, their total population, Egypt has 91,508,084 as of 2015, and for the Philippines, it was 100,699,395. And so yeah, the growth, that's the annual growth rate of Egypt and the Philippines. So 2.13 for Egypt and 1.562 for Philippines. So their median age in terms of years. So for Egypt, the total is 23.8, and then for males, it's 23.5, 24.1 for female, and Philippines 23.4. So yeah, they're sort of the same again. So that's the structure, the age structure based on their population pyramid. And the dependency ratio, so 62.3% of the population were dependent on the labor force, and 53.8 was comprised of the youth, while 8.5 was comprised of the elderly for Egypt. And for the Philippines, it's 57.6. So the number of dependent people on the labor force is more in Egypt, but not by that far. In terms of education, the literacy rate is 93.293 for the youth of Egypt and 75.843 for the adults. Okay. And then for years of schooling, their expected years of schooling is 13.1, while their average is actually 7.1 only. And then so yeah, that was a gross enrollment ratio of Egypt and Philippines, one stacked against each other. As for unemployment, Egypt has 13.2% unemployment. And then for health, the life expectancy is 71.122. And then in terms of their trade balance, both Egypt and the Philippines have negative trade balance, so they both import more than they export. So yeah, Egypt has a value of 2,379 million negative balance of payments. And then the government debt to GDP ratio, Egypt has 85% as of June 2015, and the Philippines has 42.1. So yeah, why is Egypt interesting? So this is Hosni Mubarak. He was the former president of Egypt, and he was in rule for 30 years. And like I said earlier, after the 2011 revolution, they finally ousted him. He was charged of committing violence against the protesters, like he ordered for the death of almost 800 people, and he was also charged of corruption. But then, eventually his charges were lifted, and like his supposedly life sentence in prison was also it was lessened. And so due to the month-long protest that started in January 25, he finally stepped down by February 11, and then he was held prisoner since then. And so this actually, like, the status of the Egyptian economy before the revolution it seemed healthy, like their numbers seemed pretty okay, but then those growth rates and the GDP and all that stuff, it was actually masked. Like, it didn't really show that the distribution of the growth was actually uneven. And so most of their GDP, it was actually more of consumption rather than investment. So, and the investments that they did have were quite unproductive. And so it led to their large informal economy, and alongside with the corruption. So after the revolution, there were a lot of changes in the government. So the military had to take over. The military had to take over until they finally finalized their civilian government. So they only had a new president come 2014, which is Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. And so what happened? The most recent, like I said, is now that given that their economy has been pretty unstable as of late in general. So the latest thing that they had to come up with, the Central Bank of Egypt ordered for their Egyptian pound to be floating against, like, compared to the dollar and all the other currencies. This happened because they were running short of foreign money, since their exports were less than their imports. And so this was also demanded by the IMF. And so now, like you saw in the graph earlier, it really dropped in such a short amount of time. And so but still, despite that, their tourism is still something that they really rely on, considering that they're not really much of an export type of country. So despite all the political instability, that's what they had to rely on till now. And so Egypt is very much like the Philippines. So perhaps something that we could learn from them is maybe how to oust an incompetent president. And yun. Thank you.